No. Google? Okay. 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 Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Wait, I'm up. All right, there we go.
Um, I don't
This
know.
is this is your show, so whenever you ready to start,
Okay. Well, I didn't make sure.
I understand. I'm not judging you. I know how this goes. Would you prefer a mic like this instead?
No, it's cool.
Okay.
I talk loud.
Okay.
All right, for sure. Well, I go by Numbers.
Hey, this is your show. Start your show the way you want to start your show.
I got
You
you.
ain't got to explain nothing to me. I'm following your lead.
Okay. Put me on the spot then. I'm kidding. I'm just with you. I got
I know I'm messing with you. Because if I do it my way,
you. It's okay. I like to be on the back burner sometimes. Okay, let's see. I'm good. I'm good.
okay, let's go.
All right. I'm Anonymous here today, Lewis Turner. Y'all can follow me. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. And for my podcast, I'm usually Gen Z with the T of relationships. We create podcasts for youth and young adults to feel safe, heard, and valued when asking, "What are we?" Weekly, we have real world conversations we all need to have in relationships to ourselves, family, and loved ones about emotional intelligence and awareness. And today we have you already know our guest today. Hello.
What's going on, everybody?
Yes. Today topic is gonna be like talking about mental health,
Okay.
and I just want to highlight like we here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and some resources that we also have here that everybody can access as well. And yeah, so my first question to you is, why do you think mental health is important to reflect personally?
Okay. So, me being an advocate for mental health in regards to everything, I'm an individual who suffers from clinical depression at times.
Mm.
So I have actually been diagnosed in the past with being having depression, and it just happening for whatever reason it may be happening. As
Yeah.
I've gotten older, I've learned how to manage it, notice when things are being a little bit too much. But while going through that self actualization process and
Mhm.
figuring out that, okay, there are things that happen in our everyday lives that sometimes we don't realize causes us to feel inadequate. It's important for people to kind of stop and look at all the things that kind of make them who they are.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we tend to judge who we are by decisions that other people made.
Mm.
And because of that, we tend to be.
Okay.
She's in my studio today for those of y'all who are listening to this show. And she's learning that there's a few perks over here at TDR.
I gotta clap for my
All
man.
right. But no, we do. We judge ourselves as individuals based off what other people say, whether there are our friends or family members who grew up with us, if there are people who are in the same career field that we are, if there are people doing the same things that we are doing, or unfortunately, in the course of the last 20 years, social media plays a major
Mhm.
influence in regards to how we view ourselves. And a lot of times we allow that to mold how our mental health is. So because this individual who's in a whole nother city, who is following a dream similar to yours, is actually showing the positive side of everything, we're looking down on ourselves. We're beating ourselves up. We're treating ourselves like we're not doing what we're supposed to do in regards to this. And it's causing us to check out at times, give up, not even want to try it anymore, or even suffer from imposter syndrome for when we do succeed in regards to things. So I feel like mental health is very important because what we do to ourselves mentally affects what we do to our bodies, which then affects how we can interact with everything else around us in
Yeah.
regards to that.
No, that's
I
deep.
hope that wasn't too heavy.
No, I love deep conversations.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so that's my flow. Like I was telling you a little bit about the international fellowship
Right.
community. So, we do a lot of, I guess, under the rug work, self
Right.
work, and I call it shadow work of
Right.
self. So mental health, self care is definitely something really I'm passionate about promoting, doing myself. I feel you on the depression piece because I used to have seasonal depression as well.
Right.
So I understand the up and lows of that. Sometimes, like honestly, it make you not want to get out of bed. Like I've been stuck in bed a few days, and just not want to get up. But
Right.
it's sometimes people don't look at it like not only is it emotional, but a lot of times, yes, it's also clinical. Like my hormones be off the wall,
Yes.
you know, and that also triggers different parts of the body, like whether that's high blood pressure, whether that's just overly sleeping, or some people may have like different self-soothing aspects like overeating or undereating as well because of that. Like it definitely ties to your mind with your body on so many
Exactly.
ways.
We live in Wisconsin, so for
Yeah,
those international listeners, what they don't know about Wisconsin is our seasons can change with a drop of a dime.
man.
In the last 72 hours, we have had summer, spring, fall, and winter. Literally,
It snowed today. I
it
said,
snowed today.
"What?"
Like, I was just outside yesterday. Where did this come from?
I wanted
And
to barbecue yesterday.
like, it's St. Patty's weekend. I'm supposed to be doing all of the things without a triple down goose on. Now I gotta let me dig out my winter coat again. It ain't even green. I gotta find something else. So I mean, I bring that up for those people who are listening because yes, seasonal depression is a real thing for us in Wisconsin. It's a real thing because we sometimes can be forced to be staying in our own homes. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of us are not built to deal with our own mental. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we're not used to being alone without having any form of connectivity with people.
Yeah.
So when we got to be alone with our own thoughts, we sometimes don't know how to process that. We don't know how to deal with the fact that the reason why you go out a lot is because this person was missing from your life. The reason why you got trust issues over here because you got trust issues back here as a child that you never dealt with. The reason why you choose to do all of these things is because you couldn't do them when you were here. So there's a lot of things that we do in our behaviors that we do that when we're forced to be alone, we're forced to analyze and look at that and sometimes deal with those demons, which is why shadow work is very important. You, like you said in the name, shadow. You look at what's behind you, that's following you wherever you go, and when you stop for a minute and you look back and you see, well, damn, I used to do this, but I don't do it no more. Why don't I do it no more? I used to like doing it, and then you come to find out there were other things that were taking you out of your space of who you were, good or bad, you know. So
No, I feel that, and I'm so glad you brought that up because on that correlation, I also want to highlight a resource. Like sometimes, sometimes it could be very stressful, and a lot of times, especially within our community, like folks don't know how to. express that emotion in a healthy manner or like to release it. Like some people journal, some people also do public speaking about certain topics. Some people may go to physical therapy. Some people might release that with a therapist. Like just having someone to talk about those things help a lot. And sometimes we don't always have a person to talk with. And I want to highlight, like, if you feeling low, please, 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 like, suicide is a real thing. And let's be for real, sometimes people don't have that outlet to go to or have that release and they take it all within. So if you're having any suicidal crisis, I want to highlight a hotline. It's 988 for here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. If you need someone to talk to right away, feel free to give them a call. You know, people are here and it's totally free. It's no charge. People are here to listen to you and your story and whatever you may be going through. So I wanted to let everybody know about that. But like for me personally, I hit the gym. I like to do kickboxing. I also like because I'm a physical person. I go to the range. I know that's kind of like
No,
next
no,
step,
that
but
you'll be surprised
that's
how many people
me.
do that.
Yeah, so it's like you have to have, even if it's physical, you
Hmm.
have to have a safe space where you can just let out that anger, or if it's like something that's making you emotional, in a safe setting. Y'all don't just randomly go nowhere y'all ain't supposed to be going doing no hot stuff. Okay, I'm not promoting that,
Right.
but there are safe spaces for sure. And make sure, like, if that's not a physical transaction, make sure you have that person you can talk to too.
Right. I truly think that one of the biggest things with our current generation is we're technology bound. So
Mm-hmm.
we're not as physical as we used to be. I'm not going to sit here and say, well, back in my days, we rode bikes. No, I'm not even going to do that because we were lazy back then too. We just didn't want to tell y'all. But no, with technology being such a big thing, we don't move around and get around and do as much as we need to. So one thing I always try to tell people is incorporate something physical in regards to helping you unwind. I don't care if you just walk around your block one or two times per day or week. Go to the gym, go rock climbing, go to the gun range, whatever you need to do. Find something that you can do physically. Because what people don't understand is once the blood in your body gets to moving, a lot of that tenseness and that anxiety and all that pressure that builds up, this gives your body a way to release it. It
Exactly.
gives your body a way to get all of that stress off your shoulders, as they like to say. And sometimes these are great moments to use to clear your mind. Like just walking around your block a couple of times with your earbuds and playing your favorite playlist with nothing but you and your music, you're able to cycle through your thoughts. You're
Yes.
able to sit here and take those moments that have you worried and stressed out and maybe even come up with a game plan.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a point in time where so much was going wrong for me at one time that I literally just went running. I just went. I don't know where I was going, how long I was going to do this. I just went.
Mm-hmm.
And about 6 miles later, I am too far from home that I had to call somebody to come get me. But I had a whole game plan of how I was going to take care of everything. I gave
Yeah.
myself a week to not care about nothing, which allowed me to get the stress off of me, allowed me to think about just enjoyment.
Mm-hmm.
Then I put a game plan in place. Then I was like, this is what I'm going to do about this job. This is what I'm going to do about this recording. This is what I'm going to do about this program. This is what I'm going to do about this school. And I stuck with each one. I allowed each one to start. And then next thing you know it, I'm back in motion.
Yeah.
I'm back on track. I'm back to getting things the way I need to get without allowing all of it to overwhelm me.
Mm-hmm.
Something else that I have started to tell people is start a podcast, create a journal. I am currently the owner of the largest podcasting network in the Midwest. And I used to say that just as an accolade, like, okay, I'm the largest in the Midwest. But now I actually say it like a badge of honor because when I go back and I look at every show, and I look at the shows who their show was just their journal. It was their thoughts. It was their moments of decompressing. It was their ability to take things that they were going through and work them out. And more importantly, it became a reference point that here we are 1, 2, 3 years later. They'll go back and they'll listen to their first episode or their third episode or this one episode that everybody kept talking about, and they'd be like, yo, I was in a dark place, or ooh, I was a different person back then. And then it's a retrospect for them. So as long as you got something to keep your body going and then an avenue to release what's on your mind, you're always going to be able to get out of all of those moments. Like, you really can. And you don't have to be a podcast, but if you choose to, you can come to TDR Network. But
I know.
it's you can always do that. And just, next thing you know it, you may look back and be like, yo, I was going through a dark place. I'm gonna make this a Tubi movie.
Yeah. I
You
real
know?
life story.
Your life story could turn into be something interesting. Next thing you know it, you done got picked up by Tyler Perry and you're a whole entire TV series on BET Plus. You never know.
You never know. Man, no, and that it's crazy because when you say that, like that make me think of my own experiences. Because literally, like I'm like I hey, this is all new to me. I just took a step in the right direction because I was ready for my own self healing journey. Like I didn't did a big chop, That's why I'm short now. But it was definitely more spiritual for me too.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved that more into like my career field and spaces that I want to be in, like because I knew like deep down I need to heal certain parts of my own life. Just having more healthier relationships. Like a lot of the times, whether that's business, whether that's internally, whether that's environmentally, like we need to advocate for more safe spaces and more places where we feel unity, we feel community, we have those open conversations where we can talk about how we doing authentically. Because a lot of times, like we cover stuff up, or we might put on. Well, I don't put on no facade, but I know a lot of people that do put on facades because they feel like that whatever they're representing, they can't express what they're internally going through emotionally or mentally. And I feel like we need to stop that, like, especially in our black men. A lot of times, like, our community just don't want to talk about certain stuff. And I want to open that up too, because I know that impacts all of us. Like, I have brothers, I have cousins, you know, and even like my father, he's a Latino, but having cousins that are authentically black, they go through a lot of stuff,
Right.
and they don't want to talk to their mom about it because they don't want to have their parents worried about it, or they don't want to talk to that girl because then we have this thing where a lot of times people feel like, oh, you being soft. Like, no, we need more one-on-one time with not only ourselves but also with those around us, so we know we need to check in with our people. Like, are y'all good? Like, people really need to do that more often.
We do. I'm glad you brought that up because I was actually on the docket of a conversation that I actually plan on having on one of my shows starting next month. Like this month, right now, my podcast where I come from, MKE, where we're more so focusing on women in businesses right now.
Ooh,
So, like, majority of my next 7 episodes are
yeah.
just going to be all for the women, but as a black man myself. So for those of y'all who can't see the video, I am a black man, 100%. No, we are never taught as men. I won't even just say black men. I'm just going to step out. As men, we're not taught to share our feelings.
Yeah.
We're taught that we're supposed to always be tough and we're always supposed to keep it up. And our only concern that we should ever have once you become a man is to be the provider in your household, to make sure that that woman has everything she needs and she feels safe and those kids are well taken care of and funded and stuff like that. And that's something that generations for a very long time, that's all they thought and that's all they were. But between the 80s and the 2000s, a major disconnect from the men to the boys, a void happened there. If you're in the black community, you already know what that void is. I don't have to go in depth in regards to it. But that caused a lot of black men to be lost. And luckily, today's society, we're starting to be more like your generation. I see it more than prevalent than anybody. Is you guys are starting to be more open and honest about your feelings. You're starting to be more open and honest about what is not right, and you are definitely starting to be more open and honest about refusing to move any further with something without some form of change being official. And this is not just only in relationships or in work or anything like that. This is in everything. So a lot of now it's starting to become important to understand the mental health of everybody. And in the black community with the men, there's a lot of y'all who are really just black man, how are you feeling? What's on your mind? I understand what you're going through. How are you dealing with this? We just seen this situation unfold on television. How is that going? Like people are talking. Therapy sessions are starting to be utilized and spoken on and brung out, and we are using our resources. We're calling the hotlines. We're advocating for mental health in the black community, and we're advocating for black boys to be heard and seen and understood, because a lot of times our black boys have been silenced, that the trauma that they go through, we don't know about it until years later because they've suppressed it.
Yeah.
We learn about it years later because their actions and their behaviors are showing something's not right. Unfortunately, with those black boys, a lot of times we don't find out they're dealing with something until something criminal has happened. And we need to get in front of that more now ever than before. That's why with programs like the Fathers Initiative or Fathers Making Progress and stuff like that in the city of Milwaukee, I'm loving everything that they're doing because they're trying to grab those little black boys early and
Mm-hmm.
try to say, hey, what's going on? What's in your mind? What's causing you to feel this way? Because feelings are very important for men, and
Yeah.
we often or not they get swept under the table. Like I've dated women before in the past where they cared less about how I felt about stuff and more about how I made them feel. And of course, that relationship did not last long because my feelings matter too. But that's something
And
that I
always.
love that this generation is starting to be more adamant about. Like the black boys are like, look, I care about my feelings. I like A, B, C, D, and I need you to understand that this is important to me.
Yeah.
And now a lot of the women are like, okay, that is important to you. Let me honor that or let me become a part of that with you. And
Mm-hmm.
then we can learn how to grow together. So if it's something that's not good, let's find healthier alternatives.
Yeah.
If it is good, let's nurture it and let's make this part of our situation. So
Yeah.
I am loving the dynamics that's shifting with the men in today's world. A lot of us are being more in touch with our feelings, as they're saying, but
No, I love
it's
that.
baby steps.
I love that for you, and I love that for everybody in the community. Because, I mean, if you really think about it, like if we all start with ourselves, we can make a community shift of the quote unquote norms that are going on. And I feel like a lot of times, like, they're really targeted towards our community in an unhealthy way. And just being able to check in with your own emotions, like, that is so important. And I really want everybody to know, like, your emotions are valid. Don't matter whatever whoever say they are not, they are valid. And I want to put that out today because that was on my mind, for sure. And then also another reason why I want to highlight that, because yeah, like, it's a trickle effect on the community, whether it's good or bad. Like, in the momentum of where it's going, that's always great. But also the reverse aspect of it, like if you know a lot of people that are going through a lot of stuff, it hits us females too.
It does.
I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a cousin, you know,
And I hate to say this, it hits y'all
the hardest too.
metaphorically.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it also hits y'all physically as well too.
Financially too.
Financially,
Let's
ooh,
be for real.
y'all don't understand.
I don't think you do.
You don't think you know? That's a whole nother show. But no, I hear y'all, and I'm glad that we are having this conversation because I really want people to understand that mental health is a two-way street.
Yes.
Like for both men and women. Like a lot of
Yes.
times there's a phrase that was often said that a happy wife is a happy life. And I'm like, no, it's a happy spouse is a happy house because
Yes.
you have to care about how we feel too. Like
Mm-hmm.
the one thing I used to always give my mom and my dad credit was they would have coffee talk every
Oh.
day. It would start their morning off, and what they would do is they would talk about whatever. Did not matter. It could be the news, it could be work, it could be family, it could be about people at work, it could be about the family. Whatever it was, they had this mandatory coffee talk. And I love how they would be, getting ready, everybody getting their stuff together, houses moving, hustling, bustling, whatnot. And then one of them would go get their coffee. They sit down, all right, coffee talk. And whatever the other one is doing, their whole intention goes to them. So
Listen.
if my dad is getting his lunch ready and my mom done sat down at the table or she doing her hair and she said coffee talk, his whole attention while getting his lunch together is whatever they're about to talk about. We're not thinking about nothing else. And that would keep them two on the same page as for everything. And it wasn't just a financial thing. It was a communication thing. It was a mental
Yes.
thing. It was the ability to make sure that when my mom went to work and whoever she was getting ready to deal with, she could handle it. When my dad had to go deal with whatever he had to go deal with, he could handle it. And there was this understanding that, look, I got the big wigs coming in today. They're doing audits here. We got these many cases coming today. Whatever might be the next move, it was going to get done. And we knew, okay, keep your phone on around about 3 o'clock because I might need to call you.
Mm-hmm.
And the phone would be on. There was no Apple Watches back then, but the cell phones would be on, and you knew that okay, she called. All right, let me call her back. All right, what happened? How'd it go? And that's important, and a lot of that is left out of relationships this day and age. A lot of people who complain about piss being in the dating pool is
Yeah.
because everybody is mentally unstable, and then they're trying to date. Okay,
Hello.
there's a lot of people out here who are not mentally prepared to be available for somebody else. They're very selfish in what they want out of a relationship, and they don't have the capacity to give them what they need. So they're setting people up for failure right away. Like, here's this beautiful soul who has all the things that you need to get to being a better person, but you're not able to give them anything. So there's no, it's a
One
take, take,
sided.
take, take, take.
Yeah.
Now here you are, you taking everything and they're sick of your shit, proverbially. And now they want to end everything. And it's like, oh my God, you're such a bad person. And it's like, no, you are, but if you
Different
sit
levels.
with yourself first, you clear your mental head, you figure out what you want, you figure out what you can give and what you need. Now, when you meet that good person, you can openly have that conversation saying, I love ABCD about you. This is what I am. This is what I can give. This is what I can't do that you like. If you can work with what I can do, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to give you 100% of what 10% that I have that you want.
Yeah.
I will give you 100% of that, and we can work to the other ones. But I'm not going to give you 100% of what you're asking for with 10% effort,
Yeah.
you know? And sometimes that's all people need to say. And they'll be like, I can work with that. Now my expectations is not what my granddad was. It's now my expectations is what this is. And then as that 10 turns to 11, turns to 12, turns to 15, turns to 25, the relationship now grew.
Yeah.
And now everybody is on the same page because we're being honest about everything.
Hmm.
And now, if here we are a year later, and if this person has grew to 55% that they can give that you want, you can choose to still leave because you say you want 100%, or you can look at the 45% of growth that this individual did for you
Yeah.
and see if we can get to 90 by next year.
Yeah.
You know, like, but people want everything. They want the complete package right now. They want the assembly already done
Yeah.
and the free delivery to a good relationship.
Man, man.
That's a whole nother conversation.
It is. It really is. Hey, it be like that. Oh, yeah. No, like just reminiscing about a lot of different things. But I do want to highlight for sure, like it's hit our community in both ways. And then it's speaking of like how it impacts us. It's good to have those community pieces and community settings. I want to highlight one of my dear mentors, Shelly Coley. She has a group called My Sister's Keeper, and she like I know you said you had a boys and men. She also does one for the young ladies as well. Within the community of Milwaukee, she does open poetry, but she also does community healing with the ladies. We have lady talks, we have lady nights, and then just again that important piece of communication about what we're going through, what we're feeling in that safe space, but also like how to heal through that. I know a lot of people um, feel like therapy doesn't necessarily work for them because it's just talking. But some people are like, okay, well, how do I fix or how do I cope with or maneuver with how I'm feeling in a healthy way. So she go over like journaling. She goes over how to self reflect on our own. I wouldn't say just trauma, but also like our accomplishments too. Like a lot of times we forget a lot of reasons why we have to self motivate is because our end goal is to be doing something that we want to enjoy or something that um we have to motivate us, a goal or accomplishment we want to get to, because that helps too when you're in a tight space, just having positive relationships, positive role models, and having self goals too. Like, hey, I might be in bed today, might take off this weekend, but I know my goal next weekend is to have such and such done and make a plan, to have a schedule. Like, put on your calendar, I'm gonna do one day for gym. I'm gonna have one day to clean up my house and one day to do self care, hair, whatever. And I know those are like very like normal, but a lot of times like when you may be feeling depressed or when you may be going through a traumatic event, you forget to care about yourself. You forget to have self time to yourself to just reflect on your week. Like when you had those, or when you said your parents had those coffee check-ins, like that is really important. Even if you can't have someone to have that check-in with you, have that check-in with you in the mirror. Have that check in with yourself, because at the end of the day, you gotta hold yourself accountable for the things that make you happy, the things that make you feel uncomfortable, and be honest with yourself. How is that impacting your day to day life? Like earlier, we was talking about how that impact our behavior. Like a lot of times, people have like body dysmorphia because of that, or
Ooh, I'm glad you brought that up.
yeah,
So, my timeline can be a very interesting place.
yeah,
And it's funny because the podcast I do with my brother, one of our topics that were coming up today was
hmm,
a young lady lost her job at
mm,
McDonald's because she was getting too much attention because of her BBL. There were
never. I'm
there
sorry.
were men there were men who would come to her restaurant,
Yeah,
order nothing but fries, just to spend time to flirt with her to try to get her number.
that's real. That's real though, because they do that on
They,
social media.
they do that. Now, The reason why this one is sliding into our conversation, because we're
Yeah.
not, we don't judge women based on the choices that they make. We are a very woman positive network.
If
Okay,
that's your body, that's your
it's your body,
choice.
it's your decision. Just make sure it look good. That's all we ask.
And be safe.
Just make sure you look good, do it right. Okay. The thing about why it's making our conversation was the comment section. 90%
Mm.
of things about social media is less about what the topic is, it's more about the comment section.
Exactly.
And in the comment section, the conversation was get a BBL for attention. Get attention, don't want the attention. Why'd you get the BBL? And then there's a lot of people saying, oh, there's a mental issue because you got this because you were insecure. And then there's those who've gotten it, or there's those people are saying, well, you got it because you wanted the attention. You want the attention. This is why you did it. This is why you did it. And then there's those in the comments who are, of course, on the other side of that is, I didn't do it for attention. I did it for me. I did it for me. And then the I did it for me responses were, then you had insecurities. Why couldn't you have been happy with how you are built that you chose to go do this? Something that's very dangerous, very expensive, very, not legal in certain parts of the country. Hell, in certain countries, it's not legal to get this particular work done. So the question becomes, what is it about yourself? What it is about yourself that made you spend so much money and take so many risks other than the attention part? And I'm like, I like to play devil's advocate because I always like looking at both sides because I understand women will get their body adjusted for their own personal self esteem. This is why people get liposuction. Sorry, yes, liposuction. Saying liposurgery. Get liposuction because, yes, you can go through the regular steps of losing weight in most cases. Okay. But if you can skip the line, get the hard part out the way, and just focus on maintaining it and eating right, some people would choose that in a heartbeat. And I get that. I'm a person who it's been on my mind. I have a few gentlemen on the network who's gotten liposuction done. Also, it can be a health thing.
Yeah.
People look at things like breast enlargements, not replacements, but enlargements or BBLs as unnecessary changes. And then, of course, the last part of the comments was you living life backwards because if you got a BBL, why you still working at McDonald's?
I knew you was gonna do that.
Like, and that was in there too. I can't leave that out. But me personally, I was like, look, we don't know. Maybe just because you got assets don't mean that you're supposed to go down the lane
Yeah.
that the assets tend to make money in. But I felt her. I felt how she felt. At the end of the day, I felt how she felt. Even if she did get it for attention, her thing was, it's not that I don't want the attention,
Just not for certain
not at
people.
work.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
not at work. Like, bro, I'm working right now. Like, hit on me at Walmart. Hit on me at the club. She actually
Walmart is
said, she
crazy.
said in the post, hit on me at Walmart. Like, she said, hit on me other places. You're hitting on me at work. And it's crazy because, yeah. Then I think about people when I hear, because you use the word body, you said body morphation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think of situations like Little Kim.
Hmm.
Now, to me, the Little Kim scenario is the one that I really sit back and I question
Was it worth
the
it?
mental health at the time.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I question the mental health. Number one, Lil Kim was never ugly.
Yeah.
Okay.
She
If
was better
you
before.
if you lived in the 90s, the standard of beauty was so natural, so
Yeah.
basic, so simplistic. We didn't need you to have anything but a pretty smile
Yeah.
and some gorgeous skin. That's all you needed. And we was in love with you. Okay? So Kim always had the look. Okay? You factor in her music, you had us already. Put
Mm-hmm.
them two together, Kim was always going to be an icon to us. Then We started seeing the physical changes. We started seeing the face being redone, the Botox and the surgeries. And now she looks like the porcelain china doll that you might see while trying at the checkout at a Chinese buffet. That's how she looks now. And we have to sit back and was like, why? She didn't get into no accident. She didn't get in physically damaged. Nobody tried to cut her in jail. This was just choices that she made. And it was like, what was little Kim's mental health that made her not see the same beauty the rest of us see?
Yeah.
Okay. And I know she heard it. I know people told her that. I know men were constantly throwing themselves at her, whether it's the broke dude outside the bodega all the way up to a millionaire with private jets. She was getting told how gorgeous she was, but in her head, she didn't feel that way. So she felt she needed to make these changes. She needed to make these improvements. It could have been the environment coming from a girl from New York to now being this international star and being in these different places and spaces could have messed with her psyche. She could have developed a high level of anxiety and imposter syndrome. So all it probably could have taken was a real friend to sit there and just listen.
Right.
You know, that could have been the biggest difference between her getting that first Botox injection to her still being the same little cute, adorable Kimberly Jones from the block. You know, it could have been the big difference. All it took was someone just being that voice for her.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of women out there who deal with that. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
That's definitely reality, and that's definitely. I feel like it's been a shift too. Like social media now, it's the new norm. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I be scared for like people who go under like doing certain things to their self body, just because of the health piece of it. Because when I think of stuff, I think of long term. A lot of time we want things quick. We don't want to put in the work in the gym. We don't, you know, the new hot topic is this Ozempic thing. I don't know how I feel about it because it's like you throwing off your own natural hormones and then it heighten it. And then it's also like the silicone, the Botox. Like sometimes people can even have allergic reactions, which will make it even worse for them. Um, yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Honestly, I'd be nervous about it. I just hope everyone be safe. You know, if that's your thing, that's your cup of tea. But just take care of yourself either way. And if you do go that route, please don't do nothing like on the street that ain't like certified at least. That's a big thing too, because I've known or heard stories of people that's gone and done things under the table, and you know that could get left real fast, or you could get infections if you don't keep up with the upkeep, and you gotta make sure you draining, you know, the blood, the body, all of that out, and also make sure you aftercare. Aftercare is the most important thing you could do. If you do go that route, make sure your aftercare is in place because you don't want it to go left. But as far as like the mentality of it, I feel like it's a lot of pressure on young ladies now because it's 20-year-olds doing this, and they're in their prime. Like back to Kim, like you said, when she started, she was in her prime, beautiful, young, healthy, and we're still seeing it in social media. Like people are just now becoming famous. They feel like they need to do enhancements to themselves to feel comfortable, and I don't know. I just don't see the hype in it. And I feel like a lot of times, like you can accomplish those looks in different ways. So I always try to go for like the safest route. Um, yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, but that's just reality of social media and its pressures. Like every famous person I know, they have millions of comments every day, you know, and then you also have a certain image you want. a lot of people they want to have curvier body, you know. So I can't speak too much on that because I'm already naturally a little curvy. But I know I understand the reason why. And then if you look at it too, like social media catch views off of that. I'm not gonna lie. Like back to earlier, we was talking about people, hey, not just McDonald's. People literally will invite super curvy, thick, beautiful women to different settings, not just in the entertainment,
Hmm.
but they do that on purpose to catch more views. Cause
Of course.
yeah, I don't know, but they do that on purpose because it is clickbait. But I've heard the psychology behind it too, and a lot of these times, a lot of these ladies that go under that, they have the hardest time getting married, the hardest time finding stable relationships, the hardest time even finding genuine people to be around them, you know, who will want to know them for them and not just their bodies.
Because I think what a lot of people, a lot of women, I won't even say a lot of people, a lot of women refuse to believe
Mm-hmm.
that us men genuinely don't care about that.
Mm-hmm.
I had a conversation with a young lady one time, and it was a post, and it was a bunch of, I mean, when I tell you, it was maybe like 20, 30 men
Yeah.
in a row before any woman had commented on the post said, we don't like that. That's
Mm-hmm.
not something we like. That's not a preference of ours. That's not what we'll choose to wife up.
Yeah.
And then the woman said, well, that's not what I see. She was
Mm-hmm.
like, I go to these pages where all these women are who have these looks and these Instagram models, as they refer to, and all this curvaceousness and whatnot. And I see the men making comments all the time,
Yeah.
whether it's, you know, seductive or implied, but they're making comments that makes the woman feel like, oh, so this is what you guys really do want. Because I log on here and here is 19,000 comments, and majority of them are basically indicating that this is what you guys want. And me and a few other guys was like, what you're misinterpreting is the 19,000 lustful men
Yeah.
compared to the men who will want a genuine relationship. Yes, a woman's personality matters. Yes, a woman's ability to be mentally available, emotionally available, all these different things is what we do care about. Physical is only for us to be attracted to in the beginning. Over time, the way the lustfulness we see of you wears off.
Yeah.
So if there's nothing of substance there behind this ass, proverbially, your value changes with us.
Yeah.
Those men on that timeline or that post that you're seeing, that's their lustful nature being blinded by this. But I guarantee you, after they see this woman posting so many times,
Mm-hmm.
basically nothing more than just their body, will lose interest.
Yeah.
We don't care about the posts, the likes and the hearts from us. From those will start to go down. Now, of course, it's social media. So
Yeah.
there will always be more people who will come back. But I always tell people find one person who liked that comment, who said something, and then just keep tabs of how many times they'll keep commenting on every photo they post. And what you'll start to find out is over time, they'll start liking less and less to the point they'll reach a point where they're not liking it all anymore because the honeymoon of you have wore off. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what happens with a lot of situations with the BBL. We'll see it like, yeah, nice, cool. Oh my God, intrusive thoughts. Then after a while, it'll be like, oh, okay, it's just a chick with the fake ass. That's how it eventually will turn.
Yeah.
And it's not saying that we still don't care about her because her personality might shine through now.
Yeah.
But if you didn't have a personality on the other side, if you wasn't funny, if you weren't human, if you wasn't someone who I don't mind being around, that ass loses value.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be,
Hey, that's real.
but right, yeah, but I am trying to be as honest as possible in regards to this. And it does, it wears off. And now you only have one purpose for us. So if we're still talking to you or pursuing you, once we get that one thing,
Hmm.
we're going to be on to the next. So I hope that there's women out here who are not using social media as their way that they're making decisions based off of what they're seeing happening with other people. I always felt like if you don't have a personal reason for needing that, so if you physically feel like you don't like your body, you want just a little bit, like you said, a little bit more curve to it, then yeah, go do what you need to do. There's some women who get more breasts because they want just a little bit more. You have breast cancer survivors who'll go get them because of that. I have a friend right now who she just went through a whole episode with breast cancer and now she has implants. And truth be told, I can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
You know, like look wise, I can't tell the difference or anything. And because of that, her self esteem came back.
Yeah.
She did fall into depression and she did look at herself a lot less. And she definitely felt like she was less of a woman because a part of her was missing, and now she feels better. She is. So I can understand the self side of it and the value in yourself that you need when you get that. But if it's a change from what you were before, you are going to attract a new crowd that you didn't have before. So if you did go up a cup size in regards to it, well, you're going to have some people, men and women,
Hmm.
because
It's gonna change.
sexuality is a spectrum, um, that are going to now approach you in ways that you may not have been approached before.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, oh, well, you just have to accept it because you made that choice, but you just have to be aware. You ain't got to accept it, but just be aware.
Yeah.
It's now there, it's part of
Your
the
reality.
change. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that is crazy. But definitely I feel that. Yeah. Pressures of society definitely hit different on all of us. And I just want to make sure, like, feel comfortable with yourself too. And, like, highlight moments of growth that you have, whether it's little or small, whether if it's body dysmorphia, whether if it's you just feeling confident wearing certain outfits, whether that's just your self confidence in different environments or spaces you go into. Like I really want us to feel the freedom of embracing ourselves, whether that's our hair texture, whether that's our own body or our personality. Some people might be quirky. Like me, I have a super bubbly personality. And I know that's a lot for some people, but like that's authentically myself and like who I am. So I feel like you just gotta take the time to appreciate what you have now and figure out if that's what you want to keep it at or if you want to grow more. And then another thing I wanted to reach out for, like a lot of times people don't know how like our mentality ties into like our views or like what we do on a daily basis a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times. And a lot of times, like when we talk about mental health, a lot of people don't know where to even start. And I feel like confidence is like one of those topics, or body dysmorphia is one of those topics, or overeating, um, or not eating enough. These are all streams of like different types of mentalities. And then also that could lead to other things like substance abuse,
Mm-hmm.
or it could be a reaction to substance abuse too.
Okay.
So I do want to just highlight that. I know sometimes people may lose a lot of weight if they're like doing certain things. And also, marijuana might make you gain weight because you got the munchies.
Well, hold on now.
But
Depends on what you
hey,
use.
you
Uh,
know,
but
hey.
no, I agree with you. The substance abuse is definitely a sign of some kind of mental instability.
Mhm.
But what I tend to tell people all the time is there's a lot of factors of
Yeah.
how that comes into play.
Mhm.
Um, if you are a minority in America,
Mhm.
you have a check mark against you in regards to the uphill struggle to be
Yeah.
successful in America. If you happen to be a woman, you have a second check against you because the disparaging uh, ways that the workforce treats y'all. Like you can
Mhm.
be doing the same job as somebody else
Still
and
get
you're
paid less.
paid less, even though you can be better at it than them. And that's just unfortunately the state of the world right now. So, as a black woman, I'm gonna use that as an example. You already got two strikes against you, and you ain't even walked out the house yet.
Right.
Okay, then you tend to need a little bit of help. If you look at how the black home is damaged, a
Mhm.
lot of times you are handling way more things more than everybody else. You're
Yeah.
being a mom, you're being the healthcare provider in your household in most cases. You are handling the financial, responsibility, whether it's the management of the bills or maybe even the breadwinning itself.
Mhm.
Overall, you have this third strike against you that it's not, I won't even consider a strike, but it's damn near close
Mhm.
to I can see how your mental can be off.
Yeah.
So with today's society, there are a lot of people who lean to medicating the
Mhm.
problem. Um,
Self-soothing. Yeah.
so whether it's you going to the doctor and they're prescribing some type of antidepressant for you, some upper in regards to it, some anxiety medication, uh, you're on something. Like there are so many out here that I don't even know the names of half of them, but you can naturally get subscribed stuff by your doctors. And the reason why I specifically said black women because women are more likely to go to the doctor than men. Because y'all
Mhm.
could have about three or four just regular everyday doctors. You got to have your OBGYN as well as your regular general health doctor in regards to it. So you guys can have multiple different specialists that you just have to see because you're a woman,
Mhm.
period. And every last one of them specialists could give you or prescribe you something to deal with your everyday life based on the reason why you're there.
Mhm.
Then you factor in mental health, and let's just say because you're a mother, you suffer from postpartum. That's a whole nother chemical imbalancement that you don't even know could be going on.
Yeah.
You know, when you get, they give you another medication for that. So being medicated is something that today's society just does for everything in general. Then you have those who are marijuana users, and I won't call it illegal substance because depending on what states you live in,
Mhm.
all the ones in the Midwest but Wisconsin, it's actually legal. Um,
It's
it's,
okay.
it's
Illinois is next door.
yeah, it's actually legal. No, everybody's next door from where we are, but it's actually legal. And some of us, before it became legal, that was our therapy.
Yeah.
Okay, there was a bunch of us who would go and proverbially wake and bake to be able to take on the world and take on everyday activity. And yes, it has its effects on us.
Mhm.
If you do your homework in regards to it, it has positive effects. But because most of us didn't get a hold of it the right way,
Mhm.
it has negative effects. Okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we also live in a society where those who need something a little bit stronger than marijuana now. So you have your heroin users, you have your meth users, you have your heavy drug users, you have your people who are using drugs, you have your fentanyl users unfortunately right now. All of these users are not necessarily doing them because it's cool. And
Yeah.
that's the part we need to understand. A lot of people are not doing it recreationally because
Mhm.
we went to this party last night and they needed this. No, a lot of people are doing it because they're trying to kind of suppress their trauma.
Yeah.
They're trying to manage their anxiety. They're trying to fight through their depression in some shape or
Mhm.
form. They're trying to use it to hide their hurt and their pain. And unfortunately, all these different methodologies that they're using is
Mhm.
having an
Temporary.
effect on it. It has a temporary satisfaction, but it has a lifelong lasting effect. One of my favorite artists of all time, tragically, we ended up losing him at a young age, Mac Miller, because of his level of substance abuse. And I always go to Mac Miller because if you just look at him, you look at his story, you follow his music, he was dealing with mental health issues
Mhm.
constantly. It was in his music, it was on TV, it was in his everyday life. And he proverbially was crying out for help. But the one thing I always loved about his music was he was also telling you to get help. He was telling you how to manage these things. His second to last album, it was the actual album that released when he passed. It's called Circles. And if you listen to that album from beginning to end, he has a song on there called Self Care. And it literally is just describing him trying to deal with his mental health issues in regards to it. He has a song on there called 2099. That I mean not 2099, 2009. Um, and it's literally just talking about like I'm not the same person I used to be. Like the world is different, life is different, problems are different. We can't go back to how we were in 2009, you
Man.
know. And for a lot of people, 2009 is was a fun year for them, you
Yeah.
know. A lot of people made changes. They grew up, they got out of high school, they got their first career, they bought their first house. It was a lot of happy moments.
Yeah.
10 years later, guess what happened? We had the pandemic. The world changed.
Mm.
Mentally, we had to learn how to deal and we had to learn how to cope. So I get it why people medicate themselves, but I also need people to sit back and look. Like I joke with my friends sometimes, and I was like, bro, like, are you addicted? Because we got up this morning, and by 9 o'clock, you already had a blunt. But
Mhm.
now here we are, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and this is your fourth blunt. Now you're dealing with everything in life is good. Everything is you're going to work, you're doing this, we're doing that. Everything is cool. But why did you need four blunts today? Did you ever ask yourself why did you need four blunts today? And I'm not like I told them, I'm not judging you. I just want to make sure that this is not a cry for help, and I'm just now noticing it because you're on your fourth blunt. That you need help when you were still on one blunt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it was a habit you only had to smoke one a day. Now you need to smoke four. What's going on? What's your trauma? What's your issue? What is your concern? What anxieties do you deal with every day that you need to do this often? And I used to be the same way. I used to be an alcohol drinker. I wasn't like addicted or an alcoholic or anything like that. But when I had a rough day, my first goal was like, man, I need to go out. I'm gonna get a drink, two shots, and then whatever I was drinking at that time. By that, that was my thing. I'm cool. I'm level.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, I never once looked to see, well, why did I feel this way?
Exactly.
What was the problem? Why did I feel like I needed two shots and then a Long Island afterwards? Like, what was going on? And then in reality, it was work. Work
Mhm.
was stressful.
Stress.
Why was work stressful? Okay. What can I do to make it less stressful? Do I need to get another job? Do I need to get a less job? Do I need to put more effort into it? Like now I started looking at the reasons why I needed that. And next thing you know it, I don't drink like I used to.
Yeah.
I barely drink unless I'm going out with my friends. And even then, I know two drink minimum, maximum, so a minimum for me at times. So it's one of those things where substance abuse happens because people don't know how
Yeah.
to handle whatever's going on, but it also happens because that's the only method that they have.
Yeah.
And we need to start giving people different outcomes. Once again, going back to how I like that the younger generation is advocating more for therapy and journalism and other ways of getting themselves out there.
Definitely, for sure. Speaking of young people advocating, I will be advocating. It's a resource at Pathfinders if you guys need help with mental health, anything, substance abuse, or you can also call 211 as well, and they will help you, um, you know, try to figure out how to cope in the healthier ways without using substances. So that's one thing I want to highlight, but also again, not having no other way to like self soothe, I guess, is a big reason why a lot of people, like you said, go that route. A lot of times I've been around people might do it because of like emotional stress, stress from work. Um, then you also have like some folks that do it for cancer,
Hmm.
because they have cellular sickle
Right.
cell, or they may have cancer, or they may have some other pain that's like very extreme. So they may do it for physical. I do want to highlight too, like each strand of each drug impacts the body differently. And a lot of people don't think of different substances like that, but I want to highlight that because there's been so many like overdoses on opioids. There's been so many people that drink lean, um, and that impacts your liver, you
Yes.
know. So it's like different ways these things we might go to for those temporary like numbing sensations or to avoid our real true emotional like state can be self harm in so many ways.
Very much so.
Yeah. Um, so that's one thing I want to highlight. But I also want to talk a little bit more about healthier ways to tap in with ourselves, like emotionally. I know we highlighted doing physical, but also just, I don't know. Sometimes I like to do yoga, but even if you can't do yoga, just like I always suggest get into nature.
Yep.
Get into nature or something that soothes you. Some people it may be music, it may be art, um, some form of artistic release that they even say like certain frequencies or sounds may also like de-stress your blood because a lot of people have high blood pressure. A lot of people go through a lot of stress. Nature sounds. Some people listen to water sounds. Some people listen to like bird calling. Whatever soothes you. Um, Find something that makes you feel good. Whether that's stretching, like yoga, like I said. Whether that's doing something like art. Some people do murals to express like what they've been through. Some people even do poetry too. Poetry nights is also a lot happening in Milwaukee. If y'all want to tap in with that, it's definitely spaces for that, and you can be as real and authentic as you want. Um, just some form of release. I definitely want to advocate for it too. Um, that's one thing I want to ask too. How do you feel? I know you brought up the artist before, but how do you feel about like music when it comes to releasing some built up emotion?
Okay. So I tell people this all the time: music makes the world go round.
Yeah.
Okay. Music is the universal language that can bring people together no matter where you are or what you speak.
Mhm.
It's why love songs have lasted so long. It's why Michael Jackson is the king of pop. It's the reason why there are apps that we will pay exuberant amount of money for to have unlimited
Apple, whoa,
access,
chill out.
unlimited access to it, because music is how we define who we are.
Yeah.
Music triggers a mental emotion.
Hmm.
You can hear a song and you can think about a time where this song was prevalent in your life and the people that it was involved to and the places that you've been in regards to it, whether it was the very first time you heard that song or the way it made somebody react in regards to it. It's why weddings have to have a specific song in order to do it. It's why singers can invoke feelings just simply by hitting certain notes in regards to it. It's why you have a playlist for when you're down. You have a playlist for when you're happy. You have a playlist for when you're getting ready to go out, and you have a playlist for when you're crashing out. Like you
Yep.
have a playlist for everything because it it's tied to your emotions, sounds, and it doesn't even have to always be the words. It can be the melodies. It could be instrumentals. It could be the beat. It could be the drum. It could be the guitar. It could be the rhythm. Whatever it is, music is life in the story, and That's why I also like to say to a lot of people, like, when you're in your moments, the music you listen to can define the feelings that you're going to be in. Uh, Often than not, I find myself listening to relaxing music while at work. I have a playlist that stays on repeat. I have YouTube channels that just play certain music. I am a huge fan of lo-fi, hi-fi, chill hop ish music, and it's only because the frequencies that you're speaking of these particular types of melodies and musics can maintain a level of calm that you can have somebody yelling at you and yo fucks levels are low. Okay, because the music has already put you in this mind state of like, why would I want to be angry? You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Whereas then I can get off work and instantly jump straight to my trap boy drill music, and now I'm ready to ride down on anybody. And all I'm really doing is going to McDonald's to get me a quarter pounder meal. But I don't care. I feel like I'm out here living this life in that moment, but it's not. So music is very important to everything. Music is important to your mental health. Artists and what they're going through can be conveyed in their music, and it can be the most beautifulest songs that you can ever hear. An artist that I have loved since her introduction to the world, because her music has always made you feel what she's feeling, is Adele. Every last one of Adele albums has always made you feel who she is. 21 will always be my go-to album because you felt her whole breakup, her whole divorce, her whole relationship, her whole dealing with love and being love and understanding love. Then when she dropped 30, and here she is now, a single woman, famous woman at that, raising a kid by herself, and even then still in the music. She has a song called My Love where she's sitting there talking to her child, and she's telling her child about how she's battling depression. Like, she wants to be the best mom she can be, but there are moments where she's alone, but she feels lonely. And then there's moments where she wants to be alone and she wants to be in the world. And there's moments where she sits there and she sees her child, and her child is bringing her so much joy, but she's just empty and she doesn't know why. And it's like, I feel you. Like, I in that moment I can feel you. I just come here. I just want to hug you. I know I can't because security will whoop my ass in that moment. But come here. Let me come here. Come here. And I seen her live in Vegas, and she did that song as part of her stay. And you can see the pain that she's like, oh my god, come here. Just like, what is it? Let me love you for a minute because you need a hug, and music will make you feel that way, and then you can turn right around and she can give you the most powerful song in the world, where you can walk out that door and be like, you know what, I am going to start that business, and because that's what music does to you. And I love that, and I feel like everybody should have those moments where you got that sad teenage angst, I don't want to be here music, and then you should have that happy, fun music
Yeah.
because it helps you deal with whatever you're going through. Yeah.
No, for real.
Right.
Well, I mean, I don't want to end on that note, but I do want to wrap up for today.
Okay.
I definitely enjoyed being here today, and I
Okay.
definitely enjoyed our topics. And then also, yeah, you guys tap in. We did highlight some things that's going on in the community for you all to get involved, and also, yeah, if you need those resources, check those out too. And yeah, go hug a tree or hug somebody you love on that note, and find out those songs to have your day going positive. I hope you guys feel like we are here for y'all. And I also hope that you guys feel like it's important to check in with mental health, whether it's that a hello to a friend or family member, or whether that's just self reflection, taking some self care time. And that is the anonymous for today.